Alright, I want to show my watering, whatever you call it, watering hole. And then in case any of you are wanting to know how to do it. What I've done is I bought a bucket of some sort. I want to say it was like an oil pan, but I think it was actually bigger than that. I got it for $2 at Home Depot, $2 or $3, and I just cut it down. So it's about 4 inches high for the outer bucket. Then I used a regular 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. I've just painted it yellow. Put this lid on it. I actually got this lid off Amazon and I ordered it, got it in a couple of days. You just hammer it on with a rubber mallet and it seals it so everything's good. When you fill this up though, what you have to do is there's a hole in this side and there's a hole in the opposite side. This hole, the top of this hole needs to be below the edge of whatever you cut your pan. Because as the vacuum inside the bottle, the water won't come any higher than the top of that hole. So as long as that hole is below your rim, the water won't overflow. Now if you take this lid off, which I can do right now because I have to refill it and there's not enough water in it, but when you take that lid off, the air can get in and then it will start overflowing. So anytime I fill this up, as I'll show you here in just a minute, I put corks in the holes on either side, take the lid off, fill it full of water, put the lid back on tight, take the corks out, and the level will rise up just to the tops of these holes, and then it will stop because of the vacuum that's created, as I said before. I just put a bunch of these big pebbles in here to keep the bees from drowning. And I try to put one kind of in front of this hole and in front of the other hole as well, because I've noticed whenever the water gets low like it is now, the bees want to go in there and then they seem to get stuck in the barrel flying around. And sometimes when I take the lid off, if the water's been low for a day or two, they come flying up out of the top of it, and that's, wonder how long they've been stuck in there. So I do, ever since that happened, I started putting the rock really close to the holes on both sides. So I'll go get the corks and I'll show you how I fill it up. Okay, here we are. I bought some corks. These corks, as you can see, I bought these from Hobby Lobby. It was the smallest, biggest I could find that fit the holes I drilled. And then I just kind of whittled them down with an X-Acto knife until they fit right. I would suggest maybe going and seeing what kind of corks you could find first and then drilling holes to match the corks. Because the size of the holes really doesn't matter as long as it lets the water out. And it would probably be easier to match up that way if you bought your corks first, but whatever. So I'll take the cork. Let's move her because she's trying to get a drink and I don't want to get her the cork. Now I'm going to stick the cork in that hole, stick a cork in this back hole. Now I have this lemongrass oil, which I also purchased off Amazon. Can't remember how much it was, not too much. I actually got 2 bottles of it. 100% pure lemongrass oil, and it smells absolutely delicious, but I would not recommend tasting it because it will burn. It's very concentrated. I have no scientific measurement for this. Honestly, I usually put in anywhere from 15 to 20 drops in this 5-gallon bucket, and that seems to, work. There is one other thing that I do use. Once a month, not every time I fill this because they will drain this down a lot faster than you think, but once a month I put in one of these. It's a mosquito dunk. It won't harm the bees at all, but it makes the water unsuitable for mosquito to lay their eggs. So it's like a donut shape. I kind of break it up, stick it down inside there, and I don't have mosquitoes trying to get into the water, so that's a great thing. And it is the end of the month, so I'm going to go ahead and put another one of these in there today. And it feels kind of like a styrofoam almost. As you can see, it's kind of pebbly and it breaks apart. I just get them as small as I can to get them down in there. Kind of force them. And I bought the package from Amazon of those. I can't remember how many it had, but I want to say it had 24 of these dunks in there. So obviously it'll last me for a couple years, and it wasn't that expensive to begin with. Now then, we'll start filling this puppy up. I get it about halfway full, then I put the lemon drops in there. fill it up the rest of the way. As you can see, I've also put a few of these little white pebbles on top here because sometimes the rainwater does collect in this lid, and I don't want the bees to drown up there either. So this just gives them something to get up on and get out of the water if they do find themselves in that predicament. But they're all in the inside rim here. Of course, you can't see them. So whenever I take these corks out, they're definitely going to be, now I'm going to put the drops in there. Whenever I take those corks out, they will definitely, the water will rise and they will all start scurrying. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Let's do 17. That sounds like a good number this time. But I'll have a few bees follow me around for a minute just because I get a little of the lemongrass oil on my fingers, and they just love that smell. They'll come into my wood shop where the bottle is, and they'll fly around it and land on it and try to get at it for a minute before they go on their merry way. But yeah, this whole thing, you know, these buckets at Home Depot are $1.99, $2.99, something like that. Not expensive at all. This lid, honestly, I don't remember how much I paid for it. It was last year, but I want to say it was $9. The cork's a couple bucks. So the whole thing is really, really cheap, and it holds 5 gallons of water, and the bees really seem to take to it really well. So as you can see, like I was saying earlier, the water gets built up on the top here during rain or when I'm filling it up. Now when you've got it full, put the lid back on first. That's the most important thing. It's got a screw top on it. That's the kind of lid you want so that you can refill it. You will see these lids that you can hammer on that don't have the spout. That's not going to do you any good because when it comes time to fill it, you're going to be in quite a predicament. So you want one that has this spout so it's easy for you to fill. Once you've got it all filled up and you've got your lid back on, take your corks out of both sides. And as you can see, the water's coming glug, glug, glug. And now it's reached the top of the hole, so it will stop coming out and it won't overflow. So as I said before, that is definitely the most important thing when you're building one of these. Make sure your top of your hole is below the lip of your bottom bucket here, because the water will only rise as high as your hole is. It can't go any higher than that unless you unscrew this lid, and then it'll just start coming out full bore. So now I'll take this rock. I got this one just because it's kind of got a pointy end and it's easy for me to kind of stick it in that hole a little bit to prevent the bees. And this one too, it had a little bit of a nub on it, which makes it easy for the other side. I'm sure you can figure out something to use in your situation. And then I just kind of space these little rocks out a little bit, so in case, like I said, an accident happens, they got a way to get out. So I got my 2 corks, lemongrass. The bees are happy as can be. You can see they love it, love it, love it. And in the heat of the summer here in Texas, you know, it's probably about 100 degrees, upper 90s. This will last, I want to say 3 days. It goes faster than you think. They suck it down, and probably a little bit of evaporation as well in that heat. So I try to kind of keep it I keep it right next to the house, as you can see. And it's kind of half shaded and half in the sun, and the bees like the shaded area a lot more in the summer. So you'll see a lot of them. This side will really be packed as it gets hotter. It's spring now. It's probably upper 70s today, maybe low 80s. So there's a few over here, but they're not too concerned about it like they will be in August. So there you go. Simple bucket lid inside of another bucket. Hope this helps somebody. This is Josh in Plano, Texas.